Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. What you'll find with these is if you look underneath, these are the new growths that you can take cuttings off, and if you snap them off or cut them off, and then we can take cuttings off them, which I've done here. I've still got loads there, so I don't need them. And what you do is clear all this off, and this is one I've just done. This was the same size as that one. So what I've done is cleaned off all the dead leaves underneath, and I've reduced it in size a bit. And what I have done, which we've got problems, there's no roots on this, you'll see, and that's because we've had vine weevil, and they're a little white grub that you get. So what you do is just tease out the dead bits from the root, from the main stem. Just check there's no more vine weevil in there. I've taken some out already, and I will then pot that up into a pot, and that will make a nice specimen plant for next year. So this one I presume is the same. It's probably got vine weevil in there because there's no roots on it. You don't want any vine weevil in the roots because they'll just carry on and eat them to pieces. There's, I saw something move then. Yeah, there's one. Little white, tiny little white grubs, they get quite big. You can squash them to get rid of them. They eat the roots, and you end up with your plants dying off. But succulents are very easy to root, so I'll clean that one up, take all the dead flowers off so that you end up with something like this, and then we can pot that up into a new pot and leave it for the winter. I've already got some growing here. The other thing to do at the moment is if you've been growing succulents this year, take them out. They don't like to be too wet, and as we're getting towards the winter and the autumn, it's going to rain a lot and these will get too wet. So bring them in or put them under cover, cold frame, anywhere you like, but get them out of the rain and keep them on the dryish side. Not bone dry, but almost, and we'll let them go. This is ginger. I bought a couple of roots from the vegetable shop, and they're coming up. They're coming up quite nice. So that'll form quite a clump next year, ginger, and we'll see how that gets on. Now, as for the geraniums, let's take one of these. The thing with geraniums, they come off quite easily at this time of the year, especially if you get a nice specimen. They should just snap if they're just ready. You don't want many leaves on them. Take all the flowers off. These little stipules that you get on them, you can leave them on, but they will rot off. So I tend to take them off, although it doesn't really matter that much. Again, keep your eyes open for things like rust growing, which is a little dot coming on the leaves. Some of these will have, you can see, I don't know if you can see clearly, there's a little round pale dot on the leaf, and that will form on the back. That is rust. You need to remove all of them, get rid of them. They're little pustules that form on the undersides of the leaf, and they'll devastate your plant if you're not careful. So keep an eye out on most of your plants and take off, there's the rust growing again, take off all these leaves with rust on, or if it's a bad infestation, it's better to scrap the plant completely. Now, a lot of gardeners, I've seen Monty Don do it quite a lot. When he's taking cuttings, he often puts them on the bench and cuts them. With things like pelargoniums or geraniums, whichever way you want to call them, they're soft and you can bruise them, and if they get bruised, they'll rot off. What you want to do is cut as close to the node, which is this ring that goes all around the stem. It's where the leaf joint is. It's called a node. put the knife in, push it gently through. I use my thumb. Sometimes you'll get a little cut there, but you can see those scratches, but that's only when you've taken hundreds of cuttings. That one's ready, perfect. Could have been a quarter of an inch, half an inch longer, would have been even better, but that's just about the right size. And then you'd fill up something like a 2.5, 3 inch, well, 3.5 inch pot. Fill it up with either cutting compost or ordinary compost will do the job. And then place them in around the edges of the pot. Firm them really well. They like to be firm. When I was working on the Parks Department, the superintendent would come along and he'd grab it by the leaf and he'd lift it up, and if it came out of the pot you hadn't firmed it enough. He was very particular, but that was some 40 odd years ago. So what we'll do is something I've already taken are these cuttings. I told you on the last one I acquired this beautiful claw, lobster claw, and this is the white one, and I've reduced the length of the stems and taken cuttings. I've already put 3 in here. Again, same system as with geraniums, and I left these ones just to show you roughly. Take off most of the leaves because you don't want them to perspire and let all the goodness go out of the leaves, the moisture. So do that. If they've been in water, I just dip them in a little bit of rooting hormone and tap off the excess. You don't want any excess on, and that will do. And then they will go just like these. You can either, if they're a firm cutting, you can either just push them in like that and just fasten them in, or you can dibber a hole, whichever way you want to do it, and that'll take. So those I'm just going to pot up in a second when I've done these jobs as well. Those are some of the jobs that want doing at the moment. I started to tell you in the last episode about this conifer here. I was experimenting to see whether or not I could do this conifer, and I've got so far along, and all you need to do, you can't really go wrong, is take out every other stem right up to the top for the moment. And once you can see where you're going, it's quite good. You just keep moving, going along, take out and keep looking at it from all angles to make sure you've got the right thing. These at the bottom you can just rip off so that you end up with a nice clump on the end of your stem. These you can do at any time. If they're a bit tough, just snip them with a pair of secateurs, but take off these and then just keep going right up to the top, and I'll do these later. Use that's it, use up most of these, keep them going, and eventually, and we'll see how they do. It's an experiment, as I say. I've not done them before, but they're normally very expensive to buy, so what have you got to lose? This cost me about £6 from the garden centre 2 years ago when I bought it, and within 2 years it's a nice height now, perfect for doing this sort of thing. And specimen this size in about another 2 years will be worth at least £100, if not more. So it's good fun, and it's nice to experiment. This is how they would do theirs commercially, so and that's roughly how I want it at the moment. Too many. That's better. Once you can see what you're doing and you've made enough space, you can just go around and thin out a bit more, see how it goes. But basically, that's it. When you've got the desired height that you want, take out the tip and that'll form a ball. So you'll end up with a little cotton bud type thing on the ends of all of these. Hopefully they'll grow out sideways as they get heavier, and you can trim up, and you can even do two. I mean, some of them, if you want, once they get longer, you can have some here that you would then just trim round to form a ball, and then you would take out the rest of them when that grows a little bit longer, and you'll end up with two tufts, one there, a ball there, and a ball at the end. It's not difficult. These things are easy to do, and you can experiment and see how you get on, but it's good fun. And that's about it for the moment. Keep deadheading. If you've got any not hardy fuchsias like the ones over here, they are, I say they're not hardy. I've had that one for about 6 years now, or even 8. Came from Cornwall, and every year it dies down to the ground. This year I've potted them up, and I might try and protect them and see whether or not they'll sprout from the tops. But if they don't, they'll sprout from the base if they're in the ground, and they'll come up. Just means that you'll get a bigger plant if we can keep them over the winter. And that's it for the moment. Okay, and I'll catch up with you later nearer the winter. Okay, take care, bye.